Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm James Goldstraw and this is my engine reconditioning company Grace Engine Developments. We're based in the UK in Berkshire. Today I'm going to give you a tour of my workshop, show you the machines and what we do. This is the engine build room. In here there's no drilling, grinding, just building. We do lots of different engines. This is a 1600 Vauxhall out of a Corsa race car. That's a 2.3 Duratec going in a Mark 1 or Mark 2 Escort. That engine's a Ford Crossflow. That races in something called the low cost series. These are Vauxhall XE timing belt covers, what we have made, and these are Vauxhall XE plug tops that we have made and engraved. That there is a 4.2 E-type Jaguar going in a classic E-type, but we're modifying the engine with different cylinder head cams, lightweight flywheel. These two are both naturally aspirated Cosworths. One's going in a Mark 1 Escort, one's going in a Mark 1 Escort van. That there is a turbocharged Vauxhall XE in a Corsa road car. This engine here is a 4-cylinder K-series engine out of a Lotus Exige. That's going to be running these throttle bodies with Mack speeding rods, Omega pistons. This engine here is a B series. It's a 1622 out of an MGA classic car. This engine here is another naturally aspirated Cosworth. We originally built it dry sumped, but the new owner of the engine wants to go back wet sumped, so we've got to remove all these and convert it back over for him. These are the pistons. They're Tommy pistons out of this SR20 drift car engine that we're doing for someone. This is going to be big valved, should be capable of about 800 horsepower. This is a friend's engine that we're building. This is a Renault Williams Clio phase 1. This engine here is another quite special engine. This is another friend's engine. This is an E30, BMW E30 M3, but this is going to be a replica DTM car for a race series. My friend really has spent loads on the parts for this. Everything's brand new, BMW. It should be really special. Over here we have a few different machines for testing. This is a Performance Trends valve spring tester. It's all connected to the computer, so we can keep all the information of the valve springs before the engine leaves us, and then also when we rebuild the engines at the end of the season, we can make sure that the springs are still performing right and if not, replace. This equipment here is once again Performance Trends. This is a camshaft testing equipment, so we can run the cams up before we fit them just to make sure that the grind is perfect, but with Kent cams, who we use most of the time, it always is. We can also test cams out of engines that come in if a customer likes the way his car is but wants to replace the cam. We can replace the cam but run the profile first, send that to Kent and get them to copy that. This machine here we bought in lockdown, replaced the old machine. This is an as new injector tester, so all the petrol injectors get tested. We also offer this service for the local garages around the area. We can run the injectors up, flow test them, we strip the filters out of them, run them through the cleaner for 20 minutes, half an hour, put new filters in, and then test the flow again and test the spray pattern. And this will run from cranking right up to 20,000 RPM if we need it. This will also do the GDI injectors, the gasoline direct injection, which is new to us. This machine here is a Pro Cut brake disc skimming lathe. We mainly use it on our own race cars for keeping the discs nice and true, but we do offer it out as a service as well. Back there is the water tank for the engine dyno. Oh, forgot about the engine dyno. That there is the engine dyno. That's a Land & Sea 800 horsepower dyno, mainly used for developing. That's just storage for all the chemicals that we use to keep things clean, and cable ties, nuts and bolts and washers and hose clamps and all them kind of stuff. These are valves that have been reconditioned, ready to go into the cylinder heads as and when we need them. They get vapor blasted to decoat them. Then the stems get polished, and then we reface the seat of the valve, so it's all brand new, all as good as brand new. This machine here is a Delta surface table. I mainly use this for doing the tappet shims on race cylinder heads, but it's also good if we need to just correct any thrust clearances. If we've got tight thrusts, we can mount them to the magnet and just grind them just a little bit to get them in, but it's mainly tappet shims. It's quite a useful bit of kit. This is the first one of two valve refacers. This one is a Comet RV516. This will do multi-angles just by sliding this over, and then we can put the attachment on here for topping the valves. I'll show all these procedures on a future vlog. That will go down to a 4mm valve stem. This is the second one. This is a quick way. Exactly the same machine really. This one's good for topping also. So topping the valves, that's the attachment for that. And then we can reface rockers on B series, A series, anything like that, cross flows. That's a Quello head bench. That's for compressing the valve springs on multi-valve cylinder heads. It's pneumatic controlled with a foot pedal, and then this comes down, compresses the spring. It's really good because it leaves both hands free to get the collets out or refit the collets. That's a Bridgeport mill. Installed on the floor, different attachments. Rotary. We use this electric rotary table for doing flywheels, and then just different vices and things. That's a Sun & Honer, mainly used for conrods, but rocker bushes and things like that we can do with it. This machine's kept close to it because this is what we resize the conrods with. You bolt the cap in here and the rod, you can then grind. You just run that across, grinds the caps, that reduces the circle, and then we put it on the honer to resize it. That's the measuring equipment, so we can just make sure. everything goes on the 0. This machine here I've probably had the longest. This is a Comet head skimming machine. We do blocks with it as well. It's called an RP330. It's a brilliant bit of kit. It's a swing arm, so the depth of head it can do is pretty good. We have a problem there, some head faces can't do wide transits and things, but this machine can get them on there. And then for grinding the cast iron, it has these stone segments inside. It's 2-speed. When we're doing the aluminium, we change it to that. That's a diamond tip. That produces a really good finish. This is a Delapina hone for the boring machine. It's known in the trade as a nodding donkey. Once again, really good machine, very accurate. It's got the friction feed on it. That's the honing tank with the honing oil in. Keep the stones lubricated and cooled. This is a block that we've done for a customer. We've just got to gap the rings for him now. This is off a Toyota Starlet. This is a 6-cylinder off an old Hudson. What we're doing for customers restoring the car, it was his father's, so we've got the job of doing the engine for him. That's a TVR block, TVR's own engine. That there's a Sun and conrod heater. That's used for heating the conrods up for the interference fit. It's a total seal piston ring gapping machine. They're just some pin presses for the Sun and pin press. That's for removing the gudgeon pins. It's electro-hydraulic. It's a good machine, that. This is one of my seat cutters. This is a Myra Centronic. It has servos inside that self-center the pilot into the guide, and then the cutters are, you can do multi angles in one cut with this. Lead-free conversions. Comes with a vat gauge, Quello vat gauge to test the seat. And then up here are all the different cutters, all different shapes and sizes we use for throating and things like that. These are all the pilots, different size pilots. And this drawer here is all the tooling to do bronze thin wall guides. If it's a quick repair on a worn guide, we can sort that, most sizes. That's some of my stitching kit, so if we need to repair any aluminium or cast, I can do that with that kit there. In there is more of the stitching kit and also more of the guide kit. This machine here is a Myra guide boring tool, so on things like Crossflows, Pintos and some of the American stuff, they haven't got replacement guides in the cylinder head there. They're machined straight into the cylinder head, so that machine there allows it to be bored out so we can fit new guides. Up there's all the different core plugs and different valve seats for lead-free conversions. This is sintered steel, and there's some harder ones there for LPG use. At the moment we use Van Norman boring bars. There's two 944 bars, one there and this one here, and that one there's a mini bar for doing the motorbike stuff. These are the stands for holding the single cylinder or twin cylinder motorbike bits. Down here is some of the torque plates, what I use for the common engines that we do. That's a Sun dial gauge for doing the reboring. It's highly accurate. It's an awesome made bit of kit, that. And that's the setting fixture for it. This engine here is a Ford Series 1 RS turbo engine, which I've been cleaning all the rust off. It's rebored. I've now got to skim it, hone it, keep cleaning it. That's going in a fully restored Series 1 RS turbo. This machine here is a Mack valve guide press. You can use it for fitting valve seats as well, and also removing springs if you've got a really tough spring. That's the toolkit for that. On there is just other tooling for the lathes, drill bits, different reams. It's a small lathe. This machine here is my Prince crank grinder. That's getting used quite a lot at the moment. Probably doing 2 or 3 cranks a week. It's called a 6075, the machine. It could do the mains and the big ends. I'll do a video of this being used. It's probably my favourite machine to use. That there is the polishing belt for the cranks. Then while we was in lockdown, I bought this machine. It's a Pro Valve. It's made in Turkey. The company to deal with was fantastic right from the word go. It's highly accurate. It's all air float machine and then air lock in. Mainly bought it for the modern heads with the seats that are rock hard. The Mira is very good, very accurate, but the way it locks, sometimes you can get a little bit of movement from it. Needed to solve that problem, so new machine was the answer. Once again, I'll do a video of it being used. This is all just racking for customers, engines that are all on the go. Also some parts. Out the back there, out that door is the acid bath. That lives outside because the acid absolutely stinks. Drives my wife mad. So try and keep out of that as much as possible. And then there's a forklift, engine crane. There's some bits there. We've had a rolling road for a long time, but we've never had the space here to install it. So that's just kept there with the computer. They're the tyres off 2 of my race cars. That's a hot wash tank. Most of the engines probably go through this process. They go through the acid once, and then they go through this process through the machining and the building, I don't know, probably 3 or 4 times before we actually get to build it. Then this machine here is a super finisher, a Walther Trowel super finisher. That there's a Rover V8 out of a rally car for a customer. It's in a TR7. He's just upgraded the cylinder heads, camshaft. So we've just tore this engine down, ready to do some more machining on it for him. That's the compressor and the reservoir for the compressor. That there is the tool trolley for the delta pressure tester. I'll do some videos on pressure testing. We use this for testing the water system to make sure the cylinder heads haven't got any internal cracks. So that's the big lathe, what we've got. Mainly use it for flywheels, but you can machine the tops of pistons and get the piston weights right with that. It's just more storage. That's an M3 E46 M3 engine that we've got to strip next week for a customer. That's more cross flow for the low costs. That's the workshop speaker at the moment. This is a Mazda turbo engine that we've just done the machining on for the customer. He wanted it painted red, so we've got it red. He's going to build his own engine, but we've rebored it, skimmed it, honed it. It's been through the acid. That's the TIG welder that I'll use for doing the alley repairs on cylinder heads. That's a Superflow SF260 with Flowcom. I've also got this connected to Performance Trends software. We use this for development work for the race engines, and if customers want us to do some development for them as well, that's always an option. It's mainly used for our own stuff at the moment. That's some of the tooling for it, for opening the valve. This machine I bought about 2 years ago. This is a JP dynamic balancer for the crankshaft assemblies. It's belt driven. That's the computer for it. It's highly accurate. It's the digital scales for when we weigh the pistons. That's more scales for when we do end-to-end balancing on the conrods. Then big scales, we use them if we're measuring. We have to weigh the crankshafts for the balancer, so that's to get the weight of the crankshafts and the flywheel and things like that. That's just a plotter cutter for stickers. If we needed to do anything for a rocker cover or anything really, we can just quickly cut some stickers. Doesn't get used that much, I'm not very good with that, but we've got it there. This here, I call this the dirty room, so this is where all the grinding's done. That's a pressure feed shot blaster. I turn the pressure down for doing the valves, so we'd clean all the coke off the back of the valves. But stick anything in there, sumps, engine covers, rocker covers. And then we've got just grinders for polishing and grinding and wire wheeling. And then this is downdraft table, so this is where I do all my porting. I'm normally locked away in this room for a day, 2 days a week. This cylinder head here I'm doing for a Volvo 5-cylinder turbo. One of my customers trying to get, I can't remember what horsepower he said, but we've had to open the exhausts up by 2 mil, and the inlets are being opened up by 3 mil, bigger valves. It's all being converted over to our own spec stuff. It's the exhaust ports. Getting there now. And that's a Vauxhall head there, which this is for the 1600 engine that was in the engine build room. It went to a rolling road. We don't know if it had an alternator problem or the rolling road made it run lean, but it damaged cylinder number 2. So at the moment that's his new cylinder head that I'm doing next week for him. That's the Cosy head for one of the engines in the engine build room. I've opened the ports right out on that for naturally aspirated use. And then this is the Nissan SR20 cylinder head for the bottom end. So with these 3 heads I've got to have these done for next week. Should do, hopefully. Wish me luck. That's another cosy. I've got a machine. That's probably not going to be done for a couple of weeks though. As you can see, the unit is absolutely chock-a-block at the moment. We are currently looking at buying some bigger premises. Forgot to show you my pet dog, Crankshaft. This was kindly given to me by a friend, Andy. There he is, Crankshaft, keeping guard. Well, I hope you liked the first vlog. This is hopefully the first of many. I'm going to show you into my world of machining, building engines, racing, my family, my friends, more racing, more engines, and a bit more Crankshaft the dog. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Engine shop. That's the room. Engines are built in there. This is the engine room.